These are the answers to exercise 13.3. So we start with question 1. And question 1a says determine the values of the variables. So in this case we've got an a to solve for. Now over here we see that we have these two angles and we've got these lines that are parallel, and this angle and this angle are corresponding angles. That means they are equal. So this means that A is equal to 145 degrees. Our reason is corresponding angles. And we just state that AB is parallel to CD. Then question 1b. So here we need to solve for B, and these two angles are co-interior angles and they add up to 180 degrees. So I'm going to say that B plus 50 degrees is equal to 180 degrees, and my reason is co-interior angles. And then we state that CD is parallel to EF. Now I can solve for B. So B is equal to 180 degrees minus 50. So B is equal to 130 degrees. Then for C, over here we need to solve for C and then for D. Now, if I look at what's given, we're given that CD is parallel to EF, and then this angle and this angle are corresponding angles, so therefore C is equal to 100 degrees, and the reason is corresponding angles. And then CD is parallel to EF. Alright, and then D and C is vertically opposite angles, so D is also equal to 100 degrees, vertically opposite angles. D, here we have a few things to solve for. So let's start in alphabetical order: E, F, G, H, K and J. So starting with E, and we're given this angle over here being 120 degrees, and E and this 120 degree angle are corresponding angles, so we say that E is 120 degrees, and our reason is corresponding angles, and PQ is parallel to RS. Right, and then F. Now F and E lie on a straight line, so that means that F plus 120 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. These are angles on a straight line. And then solving for F, we get F is equal to 60 degrees. Alright, so now G. So if I look at the relationship between G and E, because we've seen that this is 120 degrees, this is 60 degrees, then G and E are corresponding angles, so G will also be equal to 120 degrees, and the lines that are parallel are A, B and CD. So we write corresponding angles where AB is parallel to CD. Then we have H. Now G and H lie on a straight line, and if this is 120 degrees, they add up to 180. So H plus 120 degrees is equal to 180 degrees, and they are angles on a straight line, and therefore H is equal to taking the 120 over and subtracting it on the other side. H is equal to 60 degrees. Alright, and then we have J. Now the relationship, let's use this relationship where this angle, and just go back there, where this angle and this angle is corresponding angles, so J is equal to 120 degrees. Our reason once again is corresponding angles, and the lines are AB is parallel to CD. And then we have K. Now K and J are we can either use vertically opposite angles or we can use these alternate angles. So let's just use vertically opposite angles, where K is also equal to 120 degrees. Our reason is vertically opposite angles. Then 1E. Right, so here we have L, M, N, O, P, and Q, or not O, but L, M, N, P, and Q. Alright, starting with L. Now, this 30-degree angle and L lie on a straight line, so that means that L plus 30 degrees will equal 180 degrees. So this is angles on a straight line. And therefore, L is equal to 180 minus 30, so this gives us 150 degrees. Alright, then M. Now, L and M are corresponding angles, and we're given that AB is equal to or parallel to CD. So that means that M is also 150 degrees. And our reason is corresponding angles where AB is parallel to CD. Right, and then N, M and N, what are they? They are vertically opposite to each other, so that means they are also equal. So N is equal to 150 degrees, where they are vertically opposite angles. Right, then we move over to Q. Now Q or P or Q, let's start with P since it's alphabetically first. So P is equal to this angle because these two angles are corresponding angles. So P is equal to 130 degrees, where it is corresponding angles where AB is parallel to CD. And then we have Q and this 130 degree angle lying on a straight line. So Q plus 130 degrees together is equal to 180 degrees. And this is angles on a straight line. And then we solve for Q. So Q is equal to 180 minus 130, which is 50 degrees. Then 1F. Now, determining the value of X and Y. So let's start with X. And where do we see X? We see an X over here and an X over there. Now, if we look at these two angles in particular, do they have something in common or some type of relationship? We see that BC is parallel to DE, and that means that these two angles are where they form a F. So they are corresponding angles, which makes them equal. So X plus 10 would then be equal to 3X minus 40 and degrees. So this is then corresponding angles where BC is parallel to DE. Okay, now we solve for X. So X, bring the 3X over, becomes minus 3X equals to negative 40 minus 10 degrees. This is minus 2X equal to negative 50 degrees. So divide both sides by negative 2 gives us X equal to 25 degrees. Alright, and then we can go for Y. Now, if we look at Y's, there's a Y over there and over there. And then what relationship do we have between these two angles? If I look at this angle over here and this angle over here, what does that form? That forms a Z. And that means they are alternate angles, which means since BC is parallel to DE, they will be equal to each other. So we have that 2y plus 30 degrees is equal to 5y minus 90 degrees, and our reason is alternate angles, and the lines that are parallel are BC being parallel to DE. Alright, and then we solve for y. So 2y minus 5y equals to negative 90 degrees minus 30 degrees. So we have minus 3y equal to negative 120 degrees. And then we divide both sides by -3. So y is equal to 120 divided by 3, so this gives us 40 degrees. And then for question 1G, we have K, J, H, and L to solve for. Now, in this case, we can start with K. So K and 120 degrees are vertically opposite, and that means they are equal. So K is equal to 120 degrees, and the reason is vertically opposite angles. Then we move on to J. Now J and 120 degrees are corresponding, and since these two lines are parallel to each other, they are also equal. So J is equal to 120 degrees, and in this case our reason is corresponding angles, where AB is parallel to CD. And then we move on to G. Now G and J are also corresponding angles, but they are corresponding because of these lines being parallel, PQ and RS. If you see that they form their F with those two lines. Okay, so that means that G is also equal to 120 degrees. And our reason, once again, is corresponding angles, but our parallel lines are, in this case, PQ being parallel to RS. And then finally we have H. So H and G lie on a straight line, so that means that H plus 120 degrees will equal to 180 degrees, and the reason is angles on a straight line. So I solve for H, and H is 180 minus 120, so that's equal to 60 degrees. Then question 1H, we have to solve for X and Y. Now in this case we have only X over here and Y over there. Now we have parallel lines and we have these values. Now if we look at the bigger picture, we see there's a triangle over here and there's a smaller triangle over here. Now if I had this angle, I would have been able to solve for X with angles of a triangle. But if we look at the bigger triangle, that is the third unknown angle of two already known angles of the triangle. So we can actually find this angle by angles of a triangle. So I'm going to say that E, angle E, plus 105 degrees plus 32 degrees is all equal to 180 degrees. And my reason is angles of a triangle, because angles of a triangle add up to 180. So now I can simply solve for E. So E is then equal to 180 degrees minus 32 minus 105, and this will give us 43 degrees. Right, so now that we have E, we can now do the same and solve for X, where X plus 58 degrees plus 43 degrees is equal to 180 degrees, also angles of a triangle, and X therefore is equal to 180 minus 58 minus 43, and this is 79 degrees. Alright, so now we found X, so moving on to Y. If we look at these parallel lines, what relationship does Y have with something else or another known angle? We can see that this over here is corresponding to this whole angle over here. So I can say that all of this Y plus 32 degrees will be equal to 58 degrees. My reason, corresponding angles, and the lines that are parallel are AB being parallel to CD. And then I solve for Y. So Y is then equal to the 58 degrees, 58 minus 32, and that gives us 26 degrees. Okay, then we move on to question 2. Now for question 2a, we need to find x. And what relationship does these two angles have? They are, let's just go back there. They are corresponding angles because QR and ST is parallel. So that means they are equal. And so I write it as 3x minus 10 is equal to x plus 40. So my reason is simply corresponding angles where QR is parallel to ST. Okay, then we solve for x. So 3x minus x is equal to 40 degrees plus 10 degrees. So this is then 2x equal to 50 degrees. So divide both sides by 2 and we get x is equal to 25 degrees. So that's our answer. Now for question 2b. Over here we have our x lying right here and an x lying here, but there's no significant relationship between these two angles. They're not co-interior, they're not alternate because alternate lies over there. They are not corresponding because then it would have been over there. Alright, so we just need to see that that we can transfer this angle is also equal to this, so 5x minus 20, because these two angles are vertically opposite. Then this angle and this angle are co-interior angles. So I'm going to start off by saying that C1 is equal to 5x minus 20 degrees. My reason is vertically opposite angles. And then I can use C1 plus this angle being co-interior, they add up to 180. So I'm going to say 5x minus 20 degrees plus this x plus 80 degrees is both equal to 180 degrees. My reason is co-interior angles, and the lines that are parallel are LM being parallel to NP. Alright, so now solving for x, we have 5x plus x is equal to 180 degrees plus 20 degrees minus 80 degrees. So it's 6x is equal to, this gives us 120. So divide both sides by 6. And then x is equal to 20. Then for 2c, and here we have another x to solve, but this one's quite simple because we have these two angles and they are corresponding because of these parallel lines. So they are just equal to each other. So 3x plus 80 degrees is equal to 170 degrees, corresponding angles. And our lines are RT being parallel to AP. So solve for x, 3x is equal to 170 degrees minus 80 degrees. So 3x is equal to 90 degrees. And then we divide both sides by 3. We get x is equal to 30 degrees. 2d. We have x and y to solve for. And if we look at x first, what do we know? We know this is a 24-degree angle. And all of these angles lie on a straight line, so they together are 180 degrees. So x plus 24 degrees is equal to 180 degrees, where these are all angles on a straight line. And therefore, solving for x, we have 2x is equal to 180 degrees minus 24. So 2x is equal to 180 minus 24, and this gives us 156. And then we divide both sides by 2, and x is equal to 78 degrees. Now for y. Now we see that let's go through the three types. We've got corresponding. Do we see any corresponding angles? This is the corresponding angle, and we don't know what that one is. Then we have co-interior. These two angles are the co-interior angles, so we don't know what this one is. And then we have alternate angles. So this is the angles that form a Z. So we do know this angle because we know X's value. So we can use alternate angles. Let me just make that clearer. These two alternate angles. So X plus 24 together will be equal to Y. Now we know X's value. We substitute that in. So 78 degrees plus 24 degrees is equal to Y. So Y then is equal to, now just before we go on, the reason for these were alternate angles, and the parallel lines are AB being parallel to DC. So this together is 78 plus 24, and that gives me 102 degrees.
And that's the end.